Good morning, everyone. This meeting of the Agricultural Labor Relations Board is called to order. Please note we are still waiting for our Spanish interpreter to arrive, and I will then give the instructions on if you want to use the Spanish interpretation. Our first order of business is to go through the roll. Board Member Flores.
Present.
Great. Board Member Broad.
Here.
Board Member Hall.
Here.
Board Member Lightstone.
Here.
Wonderful. The next order of business is approval of the most recent meeting minutes from June 1st. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Board Member Broad. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Hall. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, the next agenda item is the chair's report, and I have a few items to share. First, I want to extend my gratitude to the Farm Bureau and also Joe Del Bosque of Del Bosque Farms in Firebaugh. I had the pleasure with Board Member Lightstone and our General Counsel, Julie Montgomery, of visiting Del Bosque Farms last week, and it was a wonderful and enlightening experience, and I'm so grateful for Joe's generosity and for Brian Little for helping to coordinate that visit. As I've shared with others, it's so valuable for us as board members and as staff to get to learn more about the industry and understand better how the industry operates, how things are working out in the real world, and also really develop an understanding and a greater appreciation for just all the challenges that growers and workers face within agriculture, all the things that they're dealing with, whether it be from the weather, the drought, water allocation, new labor regulations, and a whole host of other things that help drive how they do their work and what they have to navigate in order to get their crops out to the public to feed us. And it was a really eye-opening tour. Joe grows almonds. He's starting with tomatoes. And I'm going to pause right there because we do have language interpretation. We do have our interpreter here. So even if you can hear me now, please go to the bottom of your screen and click on the interpretation button. You can click either English or Spanish, and this will ensure that you have good audio quality throughout the meeting. I'll pause a moment so we can give those instructions in Spanish as well.
Buenos días y gracias por acompañarnos hoy en nuestra junta. Tenemos hoy herramienta para interpretación sobre Zoom. Por favor, en su pantalla, vaya hacia abajo de la pantalla, hay un glóbulo que dice interpretación. Por favor, haga clic allí y elija español. Aunque quiera escuchar en inglés, por favor, elija inglés, así pueden escuchar bien nuestra junta. Gracias.
Thank you, Santiago. Okay, and to continue with our report, so as I was mentioning, Joe grows melons, known for cantaloupe, almonds, tomatoes, squash, and he's tried a variety of other commodities. He specializes in organic cantaloupe, and he grew up. His father was a cantaloupe farmer, and when they migrated from Mexico, and after leaving Fresno State and working in other parts of the industry, Joe decided to try and become a grower himself, and has become quite successful and has become known as an advocate within the agricultural community, within his community. And it was so informative to just hear about his experiences, and it was a really great visit. So very appreciative, and hope to have more opportunities to get to see other parts of the industry and learn more about it. Additionally, I wanted to note we're continuing our travels. I'm going with Board Member Flores and several of our staff, our Acting Regional Director, Esenia De Luna, and our Communications and Outreach Manager, Daniela Ramirez, to the Indio area for the next 2 days to meet with various groups down there to learn how we can better serve our workers in that area and engage in additional opportunities there. So we strengthen our presence, and I'm really looking forward to that. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge two commemorative events going on this month. One is June is Immigrant Pride Month, and the ALRB is proud to recognize and honor those immigrants. I'm the daughter of immigrants. I'm not the only one on our board or on our staff who share that heritage, and it's obviously immigrants are huge in the agricultural industry. They contribute so much. Frankly, the industry is incredibly reliant on immigrants for survival, and it's really important, I think, to just acknowledge their work and all that they contribute to our community, to our lives. And I think it's great. There's so many events going on this month to honor immigrant heritage here in America and California. It is also LGBTQ Pride Month, and the ALRB is also proud to recognize the contributions of our LGBTQ brothers and sisters and individuals out there. What I love about this month is that it really honors the inclusivity of these members of our community. We realize that people come to their workplace as whole individuals, and they should get to take pride in who they are and be honored and respected for who they are. I think both of these events really honor the contributions of so many people within our society and how they make our communities, our workplaces, our lives so much richer and better, and just want to take a moment to acknowledge it. Also note, I saw Governor Newsom tweeted last night that he went to Disneyland's first ever Gay Pride Night. That was news for me. I was not aware that Disney hadn't celebrated that before, and I thought that was really cool that they started doing that, and our governor was there to celebrate. So I'm sure there's a variety of events and communities where everyone is that they can take advantage of. And that concludes the chair's report. Our next item is the executive officer's report on unfair labor practices, elections, and compliance matters. Santiago?
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Today's report will be really short. It'll be regarding the two pending matters. Since the board's last meeting, there hasn't been other activity, but there are two pending matters before the board. The first being Gerwin Farms, case number 2012 CE041 VIS et al., and that involves the board's 44 ALRB number 1 decision. This is a make-whole specification hearing that concluded and the briefing completed on March 24th. Also pending, recently filed by the General Counsel was the report and recommendation relative to Professional Technical Union Local 33, ProTech 33. That case number is 2023 LPA001. That was filed by the General Counsel on June 7th and relates to the board's ALRB Admin Order 2023-02P, which issued on March 30th. This report, as well as our other reports, as well as the admin order, can be found on the board's website in the variant tabs, one being meetings, the other being the board administrative orders. That concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Santiago. I don't have any questions. I was remiss, though, in one acknowledgement. Our colleague, Board Member Broad, is being honored as a legislative advocate. I think it might be like legislative legend by the Sacramento Bay Center for Workers' Rights in a couple of weeks. And I join my colleagues and staff in extending our congratulations, and I'm glad to see that others recognize your great work. So forgot to mention that in the report.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and I see lots of claps in the Zoom. Okay, we do not have a litigation report today. I'll now turn over for our General Counsel's report, and Deputy General Counsel Francesca Herrera is standing in for Julie Montgomery this morning.
Good morning, members of the board. I have a very brief report today. In Lily's Green Garden 2020 CE 025 and 2020 CE 037, both out of the Salinas region, on May 17th, the board granted the region's request to enforce the board order in Superior Court. Shortly thereafter, after the board's order, Lily's Green Garden contacted regional staff and complied with the board's order, producing a signed notice. That signed notice was mailed out to the employees on June 13th, 2023. And so the region does not have to pursue enforcement in Superior Court. The only other thing I'd like to note is that I really thank the General Counsel's staff for their amazing work in outreach. Since the last board meeting, we've done outreach in Imperial, Riverside, Brawley, Ventura, Monterey, Kern, Fresno counties. So really all over the state, our staff is doing outreach in addition to investigating the cases before us. And that takes a great deal of time and coordination. So I thank both the regional staff and the outreach staff for their great work on outreach, and also the regional staff for their great work in their investigation. So I'm very thankful to be working with such wonderful staff. And since I had the opportunity to thank them today, I wanted to do so. That's all I have to report. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Francesca. I don't have any questions. Appreciate the update in Lily's Green Garden. Glad to see that that was able to be resolved expeditiously, and also appreciate and join in your gratitude for our staff. I'll see if any of my colleagues have any questions. Okay. Next, we do not have a legislative report today other than what is posted online. I will turn it over to our regulatory subcommittee to give, oh, excuse me, sorry, I just hopped right over our administrative services report with our Chief of Admin, Brian Doherty. Brian.
Morning. I don't have a whole lot to update you on. I can give you an update on the budget. On Monday, the Senate Pro Tem and the Assembly Speaker announced that they've reached a legislative budget agreement, with the anticipation that that budget bill will be voted on Thursday. Those are AB 101 and SB 101. I've reviewed both of those proposed budget bills, and they are for ALRB consistent with what was proposed from the governor's budget, meaning it includes the additional funding for the 11 proposed budget change proposal positions, the 6 for AB 2183 implementation, 4 permanent resources for our outreach positions, and the 1 position for the IT security. Overall, we're being proposed ALRB's budget for 2023-2024 would be $14,353,000. With that, happy to answer any other questions anybody may have on the admin side.
I don't have any questions. Just want to thank you, Brian, as well as share my thanks with the administration and the legislature for supporting our budget ask. These positions and monies are really going to help us do our work internally, particularly on the IT front, as well as continue to conduct the outreach work and do the other work that we need to do to implement recent legislation. So grateful for that. Do any of my colleagues have any questions? Okay, and apologies, Brian. Didn't mean to just scoot by you. Again, now turning back to the regulatory subcommittee, just want to make a note, there was a correction printed this morning, but the Capitol Morning Report did kind of conflate and give us, we briefly had the power to amend California's constitution or make decisions about it, but they've taken that power away. They conflated a few items, but now our regulatory subcommittee of Board Member Broad and Board Member Lightstone will give us clarity about what is going on with our regulations and our much narrower authority. I turn it over to you.
Chair Hasib.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, I won't go over that again. I'll just,
There we go. We can hear you now.
Ralph had amazing commentary about the separation of power.
Yeah. Our
Catch it next time.
power to It's like kicking off on him anyway. Well, so this, just for everyone, there are some there are a number of regulatory packages moving and under consideration in various places. So maybe I should just mention them. Then I'll talk about the subcommittee report for today. And we're also meeting next week, taking up another package, and we're having a workshop, which I'll talk about in a moment. But we've had an omnibus procedural revisions package in the works for over a year, and that's what we have a report on today. It went out for 15-day notice on one fairly small change, and I know we got a comment from the Farm Bureau about that one. So our subcommittee, but the comment really relates to their concern about about using electronic signatures for showing of support, and that's not intended or included in the current package. That subject is going to be explored and researched, is being researched by our subcommittee, and we will look forward to getting input from all the stakeholders about how to do that. I know we have our staff studying, for example, the NLRB's practices in that area and law. So the subcommittee recommendation is to go ahead and move the package forward, and we do appreciate the Farm Bureau's comment on that issue, but we think that we think the regulation is clear that it's just the petition, not the individual worker showing of support that can be done electronically.
So to be clear, that's the petition for certification, not a
Correct.
petition for majority support.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So, so we have that subject. I should just mention we have a package regarding labor peace agreements in the cannabis industry, which is going to come up next week. We have a workshop a week from Friday, and we would really like people to participate in it, looking at a number of regulations to implement AB 113, which is the card check showing of majority statute that is now in effect. So we're going to have an informal, pre-formal rulemaking workshop a week from Friday, and we'd really like people to participate in that. We're interested in hearing everyone's views.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea that you're doing that. I've heard different feedback from a variety of stakeholders in the industry and from labor, and really there's not a lot of precedent for AB 113, what's contained in AB 113 in terms of the majority support. Actions PERB is kind of the closest comparator, and obviously they deal with public sector, and so it's a little bit different. And just making sure we understand, ultimately this is a worker statute, and we need to make it easy for workers to indicate what their choice is and to make that an informed choice. And it needs to be workable. And a few of the things that have been brought to mind have given me kind of food for thought, and so I'll be really interested to hear from all sides what they think, I'm glad you guys are taking the time to do that, because I think it's important to kind of think out loud a little bit on what's going on. So I'm glad you guys are doing that.
And I'll see if Member Broad has any further comments, but one thing I want to say is the specific issue of electronic signatures on those is separate from the package we're workshopping on Friday, although people are welcome to comment on that. It's on a separate track. We're going to look at it quite seriously. That's what the board asked us to do. But the package that's going to move forward in some form quickly is going to address these other issues.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Member Broad, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No. Although I believe, in response to your question, that the red package would cover a electronic filing of a majority support petition, but not the cards.
Okay, I think those are one and the same, right?
No.
Okay.
There's a petition for however you method of certification or of an election, you have a petition with cards. The petition asks for it's from the union asking for certification, and they submit the showing of support with it. That's
Okay.
how I think it works.
Thank you for clarifying.
So that could be done electronically, but with regard to the new method of doing essentially card check, unless we take action separately in this regulatory package, this package doesn't permit that to be done, those cards to be submitted electronically.
Okay. Okay, I think,
I hope I hope that clarifies that. Okay.
Thank you.
okay. All right, any,
So we may have public comment on this, but the subcommittee is proposing to move forward with the omnibus package that's been in development for about a year and a half,
okay. Before we
without
get,
further changes.
got it. Before we get to that, I will open it up to see, do we have any public comment or questions? Or questions from my colleagues? Member Flores.
Just so point of clarification, Member Broad, based on your kind of explanation just now, there will be an opportunity for folks to provide comment with regards to the electronic processing of the mail-in ballots, card check process at a later period in time as we consider that particular regulatory packet, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And
thank you.
just to clarify, and there's a lot going on and a lot of different terminology, but the mail-in ballot process was under AB 2183, and that's gone. So under AB 113, it is evidence of majority support. Typically, that's authorization, card check. The statute says or other evidence. We'll see what that can be, but not mail-in ballots.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions or comments from members of the public? Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion if the subcommittee would like to put one forward.
I'll move the subcommittee report be approved.
Okay. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Board Member Broad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you. Okay. And as mentioned, the board will be going to closed session, but before that, we will open it up for general public comment on any matters on the agenda or otherwise. If you are not sorry, all right, got the multiple mics on this dais here. All right, we are going to move on to public comment, a few matters of housekeeping. If you are not speaking, please put your computer or device on mute so that we can have good audio quality. Members of the public were invited to indicate they wish to make public comment ahead of the meeting. If you did not indicate ahead of the meeting, you may still make a public comment. We want to hear from you, and you may let us know in one of several ways. You can email Santiago Avila Gomez, or you can raise your hand, either actually raise your hand or using the raise hand feature in the Zoom application, or you can indicate in the chat that you wish to make a public comment. If you, and I see one, Brian Little from the Farm Bureau, if you, when we call on you, please identify your name and organization if applicable. Also, we ask that you only use the chat feature to indicate that you wish to make public comment. Please do not make substantive comments within the chat feature. And just as a point of order, the board cannot discuss or hear testimony on any pending matter before us. And with that, I'll first go to Santiago to see is there anyone in the queue. Okay, and then I'll next go to Mr. Little. You are recognized.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Hassett and board members, board staff, and members of the public. Just wanted to express our thanks to Chair Hassett and members Lightstone and Julia Montgomery for joining us on the visit. Really wouldn't call it a tour. Tour kind of implies that there are several stops, although we spent a lot of time looking at Ralph's or looking at Joe's cantaloupe field. But I think that it is a useful exercise for you guys to get out and spend some time talking to agricultural employers about their perspectives on all of the issues that you are going to be involved in, not least of them, the regulatory package that you're going to be working on AB 113. Your comment, I think, about this, Victoria, your comment about this being kind of terra incognita, was trying to figure out how to do majority support petitions, is on the money. And there's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of interest in how you go about doing that when the time comes. So, and starting with the workshop next week, and probably with the formal rulemaking that will follow it. So I just wanted to express thanks from the Farm Bureau and from Joe, by the way, and would invite you on Joe's behalf to stop by in July and pick up some of his specialty cantaloupes, because according to Joe, they're a heck of a lot better than anything you can get at the grocery store. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian. All right, I'll turn. Is there anyone else wishing to make a public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing none, the board will now gavel into closed session, and when we return, we'll have announcements and adjournment. Thank you, everyone.
Recording again.
Good afternoon, just barely. The board has returned from its closed session, and we'll now have our final agenda item, which is announcements. As mentioned by the regulatory subcommittee, there is going to be a workshop discussing the proposed regulations to implement AB 113, the omnibus bill, which makes significant changes to how workers can organize under our act, as well as dealing with appeal bond. For those who, employers who are looking to seek review of issues to Court of Appeal and above. So please make sure to attend that, and more information can be found on our website. That's going to be Friday, June 23rd. As noted, if you're interested in learning more about how to honor our colleague Barry Broad, please look at the Center for Workers' Rights, and you can learn more. Okay. Anyway, I was talking about honoring my colleague, Board Member Broad. If you can go to the Center for Workers' Rights if you want to look up more information. Additionally, Board Member Hall will be up in Senate confirmation on Wednesday, June 28th in Senate Rules if you wish to look to support him. Our next scheduled meeting is July 12th, and there may be an additional meeting. The board will be reviewing its calendar to determine what's necessary. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, and see you later, Board Member Flores. Bye.